Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome everybody. So we are going to start our lecture number 25, and that is about perform qualitative risk analysis. Well, we have started this risk management before 2 sessions, and while we were starting this, we have talked, we are going to have detailed talk on this very important topic of risk management. We have learned how to plan risk management and how to identify risks. Now we will move to perform qualitative risk analysis part. And before we actually start with this, we will be having a summary of the previous lecture. So, the other day we were talking about identify risk and how do we identify, and in identification stage we also are recommending few responses and actions which are useful for future use. Then we had talked about what are the advantages of early identification and what do you mean by early identification. So risk identification should be as early as possible, and then we had talked about iterative identification. So we cannot identify all risks at one time, but we can start and we can identify the risk throughout the life cycle. So there should be some system for the iteration and iterative identification. And then there is emergent identification concept. So there should be a system which actually supports emergent type of identification. Now these are few types we had discussed the other day, and the most important or critical risks are those are scope risk, and most of the risks are through that part of project management. So we pay good attention to that part. And then we have discussed different sources of scope risk, and we have discussed 3 methods to assess the risks, and then we had discussed about schedule risks and sources of schedule risk, sources of money risk, sources of resource risk, and then in the last we had discussed about the resource risk breakdown structure, RPS. And we had done one case study on typical risk in construction. So this was what we had discussed the other day, and now we are going to start our new lecture, and that is about performing qualitative risk analysis. So perform qualitative risk analysis is the process of prioritizing risk for further analysis or action by assessing and combining their probability of occurrence and impact. So there are a few buzzwords, that is a probability and probability of occurrence and impact. So we assess and combine them, and there is prioritizing risks. So we actually prioritize these things. So we do know that one risk is, let's say risk 1 is the probability is high, impact is high. So this is P, this is I, and total risk is high. And risk 2 is again medium and low. The probability is medium, the impact is low, so we rate it as low. And then there is a risk 3, so that is low probability, high impact, we rate it medium. So now we can rank, so this risk number 1 is most critical, the risk number 3 is the second critical, and risk number 2 is the second level or lower level risk. Okay, so this is about prioritizing risk, and this is but how low that is, and how medium it is, and how high it is. So if we are having another risk that is high probability and impact is like low, and that is medium. So what is the difference between both? Which one is more critical, like fourth risk? Which one is having lesser? So we have to then quantify it. Okay, so that is done in quantitative risk analysis, and that is very high. We do know that, and this is very low. So we will put this thing somewhere. We will put this thing somewhere, and we will put these things somewhere. So we will be having these two risks. Let's say. For responses, and we will identify the responses for these two, and then for this one we will have quantitative risk analysis, and for that we will put this thing into watch list. So through perform qualitative risk analysis, we identify, we assess the characteristic of the identified risks, so that we can have a better responses and better further analysis. So for having good understanding of qualitative risk analysis, we should have the assessment of a risk. Okay, so assessing individual risk using qualitative risk analysis evaluates the probability that each risk will occur and the effect of each individual risk on the project objectives. As such, it does not directly address the overall risk to project objectives that results from the combined effect of all risks and their potential interactions with each other. So we want to, because this is not directly addressing the overall risk, so overall risk is done by something else, and we are going to talk on that in future. So that is about individual risks impact on one particular objective. So we want to have the probability and impact of that. So that is assessment of risk. And before we can actually assess the risk, we want to have the source of risk. So the picture over there, that is about compass, and that actually leads to the destination. So we are having maps, and we are having this atlas, and we are having this compass. Now we can have the source of risk. So if we can find it out, we can have better assessment of the risk. So one step in the analysis to categorize risk according to their sources or causes. So we are developing our risk breakdown structure according to the sources and causes. So if several risks arise from a common source, sometimes called a root cause, risk responses may be more effective when they focus on addressing this root cause. So for this type of resources, we can understand the 2080 formula, 2080, or this rule states that 80% of the reasons or 80% of the things to happen because of 20% of the causes. So if we can eliminate 20% causes, we can eliminate the remaining 80%. So this is a very good way to identify. So अगर आपके पास problems हैं, आपके 6 चीज़ें problematic हैं, तो उसके अंदर जो 80% प्रॉब्लम्स होंगी वो सिर्फ 20% रीजंस की वजह से होंगी. अब आप अगर 20% चीज़ों को ठीक कर लें तो आपके 80% मामला हल हो जाएंगे. सो दिस इज़ वेरी यूजफुल एज फार एज रूट कॉज एनालिसिस इज कंसर्न. सो And if we can identify, the another dimension to that is, if we can identify what is the root cause, then risk response planning can be efficiently used. We can have a very good consolidated risk response for that. Then application of a qualitative risk analysis. So then similar to the application of risk management, so the methods of qualitative risk analysis are applied to the list of risks created or updated by the identified risk process to provide project management with the characteristic of the risks that have the most influence, positive or negative, on achieving the project objectives. So whatever we have identified in identify risk process, now we are actually doing what? We are following the characteristics, right? And characteristic, what do you mean by that? Usually दो characteristic होती हैं, probability और impact. ये characteristic हम जो है वो risk की find out करते हैं. At times तीसरी characteristic भी लेते हैं. At times duration, कि वो risk कितनी देर रहेगा. But most of the cases जो ज़्यादातर literature उसमें सिर्फ दो ही characteristics हैं. So फिर हम ये देखते हैं कि इसकी अगली जो ये आइडेंटिफाई रिस्क में जो हमने रिस्क आइडेंटिफाई किया था उसकी कैरेक्टरिस्टिक हमने निकाल ली, और उसके बाद ये देखते हैं कि वो जो इम्पैक्ट है वो पॉजिटिव है या नेगेटिव है, ठीक है. और उसके बाद हम ऑब्जेक्टिव के ऊपर देखते हैं वो पॉजिटिव, अगर वो पॉजिटिव हो वी कॉल इट अपॉर्चुनिटी, और अगर वो नेगेटिव हो वी कॉल इट अ थ्रेट. सो यूसेज ऑफ परफॉर्म क्वालिटेटिव रिस्क एनालिसिस. So perform qualitative risk analysis is usually a rapid and cost-effective means of establishing priorities for planned risk responses and lays the foundation for perform quantitative risk analysis if required. So perform qualitative risk जो वो बहुत ज़्यादा यूज़ होता है, क्योंकि एक तो बहुत स्पीड से हम कर सकते हैं. लाइक अगर हमारे पास 5 रिस्क हैं, हम उनसे मीटिंग कर सकते हैं, मीटिंग करके हम देख सकते हैं, उनसे ऑडियंस से पूछ सकते हैं कि इसकी क्या प्रोबेबिलिटी है इस इवेंट के होने की, इसकी क्या इम्पैक्ट हो सकता है, इसका इम्पैक्ट हाई हो सकता है, इसका इम्पैक्ट मीडियम हो सकता है, इसका इम्पैक्ट लो हो सकता है, और या क्या इसका प्रोबेबिलिटी हाई है इसकी. तो ये हम बड़ी अच्छी जल्दी से कर सकते हैं इसको फॉर प्लान रिस्क रिस्पॉन्सेज. अदरवाइज हम ये कर सकते हैं कि उसको क्वांटिफिकेशन कर लें. तो उसके लिए भी अगर हमें क्वांटिफिकेशन भी करनी है तो ये नहीं होता कि सारे ही रिस्क की हम क्वांटिफिकेशन करें, बल्कि उनमें से कुछ चूज कर लिए जाते हैं जो कि क्वालिटेटिव ही हमें रिस्क एनालिसिस ही बताता है कि किन को आपने फर्दर एनालिसिस करना है फॉर क्वांटिफिकेशन. So this is how we actually use this. So this is the use of perform qualitative risk analysis. And one very important thing, okay, so we are considering two things by this time in point. One, we are either doing plan risk response, or we are doing perform quantitative analysis. But there is another thing that is available, and that is the third one is that is called as watch list. So the very low risks, or which do not have any probability or very least probability and very least impact, but they may actually go and have some future. So those are actually included in watch list. So there are three outputs, or there are three things where risk can go. तो वो तीन कौन से हैं? एक तो रिस्पॉन्स में जा सकता है कि आप सीधा सीधा उसका रिस्पॉन्स लिखते हैं, दूसरा यह है कि आप उसकी क्वांटिफिकेशन कर लें, और तीसरा यह है कि आप उसको वॉच लिस्ट में शामिल कर लें. एक और बड़ी इंपॉर्टेंट चीज़ यह है कि जो आपने करेक्टरिस्टिक्स निकाली हैं एक रिस्क की, ज़रूरी नहीं कि वो थ्रू आउट द लाइफ साइकिल वही रहें, वो हो सकता है कि चेंज हो जाए. आपका प्रोजेक्ट है वो शुरू हो रहा है, और हमने इसके ऊपर बात काफ़ी ज़्यादा की है कि शुरू में आपके पास इंफॉर्मेशन थोड़ी होती है, और विद द पैसेज ऑफ टाइम उसकी इंफॉर्मेशन आपके पास बढ़ती जाती है. तो जो आपके पास शुरू में प्रोजेक्ट के बारे में इंफॉर्मेशन होगी, उसके ऊपर अगर आप क्वालिटेटिव एनालिसिस करेंगे, और फिर जब आपके पास इंफॉर्मेशन ज़्यादा आ जाएगी, तो वो सिर्फ इंफॉर्मेशन यही ज़्यादा नहीं होती कि आपके रिस्क नए आ गए हैं या कुछ रिस्क चले गए हैं जिनको आपने ख़त्म कर दिया, बल्कि ये भी होता है कि कुछ रिस्क की प्रोबेबिलिटी आपने कम लगाई थी उस वक्त, अब वो ज़्यादा करनी पड़ेगी, और कुछ का इम्पैक्ट आपने बहुत ज़्यादा लगाया था उसको कम करना पड़ेगा, और वाइस वर्सा। सो ये चीज़ें भी आपके जहन में होनी चाहिए जब आप क्वालिटेटिव रिस्क एनालिसिस कर रहे हैं. Okay, so success key for carrying out perform qualitative risk analysis. So there are several factors that lead to successful qualitative risk analysis, and उनके अंदर जो बड़े ही important चीज़ें हैं कि agreed upon approach should be used. So agreed upon approach mean, what do you mean by high, what do you mean by low, what do you mean by medium. So many people may have different understanding of these terms. Okay, use agreed upon definitions of risk terms. So what do you mean by risk response? What do you mean by qualitative analysis? What do you mean by watch list? What do you mean by workabout or workaround? Or what do you mean by risk itself? What do you mean by risk management? What do you mean by contingency reserve? What do you mean by reserve? So all these definitions should be given over there. And collect high quality information about risks. So the more the better information you have, the more information you have, so better analysis, qualitative risk analysis would be there. And then perform iterative qualitative risk analysis. Now that is the key. This is the most important part of this, that you cannot leave and you cannot carry out qualitative risk analysis only once in the life cycle, but then you have to keep doing that iteratively and throughout the life cycle. So that is very important as well. So let's talk about agreed upon approach. The process is based on an agreed upon approach to this assessment that is applied across all the identified risks in any project. So by the nature of project risk, all risk may be assessed according to probability and occurrence and impact on individual objectives should the risk occur. So we are using the same method for each risk if we are assessing them. And then agreed upon definitions. So the risk assessment should be based on agreed upon definitions of important terms, and those definitions should be used consistently when assessing each risk. So these definitions are found in plan risk management process and now are found in that risk management plan. And iterations, the whole of risk management is about iterations. So whether you are doing identification or you are doing this qualitative analysis, or the whole risk management is iterative. So is the case with qualitative analysis. So the success of qualitative risk analysis is enhanced if the process is used periodically throughout the project, and the frequency is defined in risk management plan through plan risk management process. And it is impossible to know in advance all the risk that may occur in a project. Therefore, the identify risk and perform qualitative analysis processes should be repeated periodically for individual risks. So these two should be repeated periodically. And why? Because if we have identified new risk, then we have to carry out the analysis. But what if we haven't found new risk? Should we go and have qualitative analysis again? The answer is yes. We have talked about it. Is not only about risk itself, it is about the characteristic of existing risks as well. So you can have, now you are having better information. So the probability and impact, the two characteristic of existing risks may be reassessed. So ये ज़रूरी नहीं कि आप एक नया रिस्क ही फाइंड आउट करें और उसका फिर क्वालिटेटिव रिस्क एनालिसिस करें. जो एग्जिस्टिंग रिस्क हैं उनकी ही आप क्वालिटेटिव रिस्क एनालिसिस दोबारा करेंगे. इसकी जो फ्रिक्वेंसी है वो डिफरेंट हो सकती है. हो सकता है क्वालिटेटिव रिस्क एनालिसिस आप 15 दिनों के बाद करें और आइडेंटिफिकेशन जो है आप हफ्ते के बाद करें. सो दैट कुड हैव बीन डिफरेंट थिंग्स, बट अगेन द कंसेप्ट इज you should keep doing this iterations over the time. Okay, now let's have what is the process of qualitative risk analysis, how we complete this risk analysis, qualitative type. So first thing is select risk characteristics. Like for our example, we are having this impact, and then we are having probability. But then what do you mean by probability? Probability is the likelihood of an event, occurrence of an event. And impact, what do you mean by impact? Impact may be on cost, maybe on time, maybe on quality, or on some stakeholder or some HR. So then you have to identify the impact on cost, impact on time, impact on quality. So basing on that you will have impact and probability. So you will select, first of all you have to select the risk characteristics and then collect and analyze data. So all the data you will need for the probability. So you cannot say simply, okay, so there is a risk, and the risk is of malfunctioning of one machine, and you cannot okay, so this is the probability of 1/6. No, wrong. So you must have some data, and after having that data, you will analyze that data, right? So then you will have, okay, the probability of this will be like 1/36 or something like that, you know. And then based on this data, probability and impact data, then you will have this data may be numerical, this may be something like that, subjective, like high, medium and low and stuff like that. So then after going through that, you actually prioritize risk. How do we prioritize risks? Based on probability impact matrices. We are going to talk on probability impact matrices. And then categorize risk causes. Then what are the causes of risk? We then define that, and then we actually document the results. So let's have again characteristic about the risks. Okay, so qualitative risk analysis tools provide ways to distinguish those risks that are important for responses of further analysis from those that are less important. So characteristics are most important, and we have talked about like impact on one objective and probability, and but in some cases they usually also include duration as well, but for this very course we will be focusing on two characteristics. Then data collection, assessment of individual risk is based on information collected about them. Therefore, data collection and evaluation tools including interviews, workshops, and references to databases of prior projects require management support and attention. So how can we collect the data? Previous studies, okay, interviews, structured interviews, Delphi techniques, expert opinion, conferences, so all, and historic case studies. So all these tools can be used for the data collection, and all that data collection is used for further analysis. So prioritizing risk based by effect on specific objective. So we had talked about that. By impact we mean the impact on one particular objective. So some tools permit distinguishing our risks priority in terms of the affected objective. This capability provides a list of risks that are important for any specific objective of interest to management. Okay, then over there you can see there is a very good picture that stones are placed some over there. So there are high level stones, and then there is a base stone. So similarly we are having a list of prioritized risk based on by effect on overall project, and there are reasons for constructing a measure of specific risk importance to the entire project as contrasted with its importance to specific objectives. A common reason is for ease of communication with management and other stakeholders. And then categorizing risks. So categorizing risk appropriately may lead to improved analysis of the probability and magnitude of project risk and to effective responses. So understanding the relationships between risks may provide a better understanding of the possibility and the magnitude of project risk than if risks are only considered as separate and independent events. So after we have identified risks and we are going to carry out a necessary analysis. So if we are having the relationship between risk, okay, so at times, and this has happened so many times, one risk, if occurred, will lead to 2 or 3 more events, and then these are further triggering other events, and so we are focusing on these one. So if we are having a relationship, okay, these two are interlinked with that, and this is interlinked to that, and this event is interlinked to that, and these 3 are interlinked or dependent on this event. So if we can eliminate the chances of occurrence of this very event, we can actually diffuse, and we can actually reduce the chances of these 4 events, right? So understanding the relationship between the risks, and for that we use flowcharts, influence diagrams and stuff like that. So that may be very helpful, and we can actually eliminate, or we can actually give very good attention to one very good candidate risk. And common root cause, so if you can see the picture over there, so you are having this problem, and there is part or component damage. Possible cause, there are 3 possible causes, there are 2 possible causes, so this cannot be true, so this is then true. This possible cause is having another 2 causes, so possible cause of cause and possible cause of cause, so this cannot be true, right? Then this may be having 2 causes again, so possible cause of cause, so this is not true, so possible cause of cause, so this is the cause of this, and this is the cause of this, and this is cause of this. So this is called root cause. So if we can identify the root cause, then we can actually group risks according to root causes, then we can manage them effectively. So identifying common root causes of a group of risk may reveal both the magnitude of the risk event for the group as a whole, along with effective strategies that might address several risks simultaneously. So dependency of risk on each other. So some risk may be linked with others in a causal chain, and understanding the chain of risks may lead to a better understanding of the implication of risk for the project. So if we are having a very good understanding of one risk, and these risks are interlinked with the chain, so if we are having good understanding of one component of these 4, and these are interrelated, so if we can have understanding of these individual risks as well as their relationship, so we can have very good control over there, we can have better understanding of the implication of the risk for the project. So perform qualitative risk analysis process. Now we have completed our basics on qualitative risk analysis, or the basic understanding of the qualitative risk analysis. Now we are going to talk about some inputs, tools and techniques, and outputs of perform qualitative risk analysis. So the inputs include the risk register, which was actually developed identify risk process. And risk management plan, which was updated and was developed in plan risk management, and then project scope statement, that is part of scope management, part of project management, organizational processes asserts. So over there, what do you mean by organization processes assert? For that, what are existing systems available to do the qualitative risk analysis within that organization? Do they have templates? Do they have necessary matrices and stuff like that? So this is about organization process asserts as far as qualitative risk analysis is concerned. So risk, why this is needed, risk register. So because you are having a list of risk over there, right? So you are in need of that so that you can actually analyze those risks over there. And risk management plan, so the frequencies, the stakeholders and stuff like that, ownership, all that stuff is required for the understanding of. And project scope statement, as we have talked a lot of on that scope risks, the source of scope risk. So that's why that is again very important. So these are few inputs as far as perform qualitative risk analysis is concerned. And then we are having these tools and techniques, risk probability and impact assessment, and probability and impact metrics. So assessment will be something else, and metrics on which we are going to assess the overall risk level. Risk data quality assessment, risk categorization, risk urgency assessment, expert judgment, and all these tools are going to be explained in shorter while, will actually lead to some few inputs to risk register. So by that point in time, before we have carried out qualitative risk analysis, we may have risk register entries like serial number, risk, cause, objective or type, objective or type, like कि ये रिस्क किस ऑब्जेक्टिव को मुतासर कर रहा है या क्या टाइप है इसकी, और उसके बाद हम कह सकते हैं कि रिस्क कॉज ऑब्जेक्टिव टाइप, लाइक ये एक एक्स रिस्क है, इसकी कॉज वाई है और ये कॉस्ट का रिस्क है. तो ये चीज़ें अभी तक हमारे पास. अब हम इसकी फर्दर करेंगे कि इसकी प्रोबेबिलिटी क्या है, इसका इम्पैक्ट क्या है, और ये फिर एक लिस्ट चली जाएगी. जब ये सारे हम एंट्रीज कर लेंगे, ये दोनों तीनों 4 5 6 जितने भी कॉलम हमने ऐड किए हैं, तो दिस रिस्क रजिस्टर जो कि हमने पहले बनाया था आइडेंटिफाई स्टेक होल्डर्स, आइडेंटिफाई रिस्क में, अब वो अपडेट हो जाएगा इस एक्सरसाइज के थ्रू. सो लेट्स हैव a detailed discussion on different tools and techniques and inputs and outputs. So inputs. So plan risk management as far as qualitative risk analysis is concerned. So key elements of risk management plan for perform qualitative risk analysis include, but not limited to, roles and responsibilities for conducting the risk management. So you are in need of roles and responsibilities. Who is going to conduct the meetings? Who is going to identify? Who is going to actually respond if that risk occur? And who is going to release the resources? And who is going to be called? Who is going to be informed? So each and everything as far as roles and responsibility are concerned is given in risk management plan, will be used in qualitative risk analysis. Then you must have budgets. What are the monetary resources available with you? If you are having no budget, then you cannot complete qualitative risk analysis. Again, you must be spending some resources over there. So if there is a provision of those budgets and how much you can spend on responses as well. And then schedule activities for risk management. So you want to actually risk management you are carrying out as an operation. So you can have activities of that risk management. So what is the schedule of risk management activities, like when you will carry out the quantitative or qualitative or identify risk management. And then risk categories. Remember, we have done that RBS risk breakdown structure concept in previous class, and we had discussed one case study from construction industry. And then definition of probability and impact. Now that is very important. So by probability, what do you mean by that, and what do you mean by impact? I mean impact on which objective, okay, and to what extent. The probability and impact matrix, what is meant by that? What is probability impact matrix? So we are going to talk, and revise stakeholders risk tolerances. So all these things which has been given over there in risk management plan, those are used now in qualitative risk analysis. So these inputs are usually tailored to project during the plan risk management process. If they are not available, they can be developed during the perform qualitative risk analysis process. A few of them would have not been available, like probability impact matrix would not have been there while we've started plan risk management. But then you can have, this thing developed in while you've just started perform qualitative risk analysis. So that is one input. And then there is a second input, that is project scope statement. So projects of a common or recurrent type tend to have more well understood risks. So now you are constructing this road, and you have constructed 5 roads in recent times. So what you do then? I mean, it is very good if you can, you are able to correlate the scope statement of current project with the scope statements of previous 5 projects. So if the scope statement is quite same, then there is a very good chance that a bunch of risk list will be same. So this is how scope statements actually help you. So projects using state-of-the-art or first-of-its-kind technology and highly complex projects tend to have more uncertainty. And this is, we have talked about that part, these type of projects are very risky. And why they are risky? One element of their uncertainty, we are talking about probability, and the probable impact is not known. So that is making them uncertain. So this can be evaluated by examining the project scope statement. So if you can have a project scope statement, then you can actually apprehend what are the constraints, what are the assumptions taken, and you can actually check and have assumption analysis and checklist analysis. And then organizational processes assets that can influence the perform qualitative risk analysis process include but are not limited to information on prior similar completed projects, studies of similar projects by risk specialists, and similarly information on prior similar completed projects within organization and both outside the organization. Then there is risk databases that may be available from industry or proprietary sources. So you can use all these things for qualitative risk analysis for your very particular project. So and then we are going to talk about tools and techniques. Risk probability and impact assessment. Now you are having a list of risk. So risk 1, 2, 3, 4, and these are few risks. Now you want to actually assess the characteristics, and those are the probability and impact. So probability assessment investigates the likelihood that each specific risk will occur. So that is the probability, and then you are in need of impact. So what is the probability of risk number 1, like how much high, and what is the probability of risk number 2 or 3, that is low, and what is 4th is high, and why I'm saying high, low, and high, I'm actually basing my judgment based on my experience. I am a subject area specialist. Let's assume. So when I say high, because I am having a very good understanding of that field, और मैंने इस पे काफ़ी काम ऑलरेडी किया हुआ है. सो जब मैं ये कहूँगा कि इसकी probability हाई है, तो मेरा वो जो पहले वाला जो मैंने काम किया है वो सारा मेरे इंट्यूशन है, वो मेरे दिमाग में है, उसकी बेस के ऊपर मैं वो कहूँगा कि ये इसकी probability हाई है. इसके अलावा हम डाटा कलेक्शन कर सकते हैं, काफ़ी सारा डाटा इकट्ठा किया जा सकता है और उसको हम एनालिसिस करके भी इसकी प्रोबेबिलिटी की असेसमेंट कर सकते हैं. देन रिस्क असेसमेंट इम्पैक्ट. So risk impact assessment investigates the potential effect on a project objective such as schedule, cost, quality or performance, including both negative effects of the threats and positive effect of the opportunities. So we actually do what would be the effect: high effect, low effect, medium effect, or very high effect, medium effect, low effect and very low effect. So we can use all these things for every risk. सो रिस्क जो हमने आइडेंटिफाई किए थे वो किए थे आइडेंटिफाई रिस्क में. अब हम उनकी फर्दर प्रोबेबिलिटी और कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स जो है वो हम यहाँ कैलकुलेट कर रहे हैं. एंड probability and impacts are assessed for each identified risk. So risk can be assessed in interviews, meetings with participants selected for their familiarity with risk categories on the agenda, project team members, and perhaps knowledgeable persons from outside the project are included. So all these are may be used for, but not limited to that. Okay, project manager may be very good guy to have his understanding would have been quite high, and but then there are other guys who are having this who are working with that thing, subject area specialist, or they are working with product, this type of product for years, so they can actually explain the process to you, और फिर आप उसमें से अपने रिस्क आइडेंटिफाई कर सकते हैं. कुछ लोग होते हैं वो रिस्क इतने अच्छे आइडेंटिफाई नहीं कर सकते हैं, लेकिन वो बहुत अच्छे होते हैं अपने प्रोडक्ट ओरिएंटेड प्रोसेस के साथ. आप उनसे क्वेश्चन कर सकते हैं, आप उनसे पूछते हैं ये चीज़ कैसे होती है, और फिर आप उसमें से आइडेंटिफाई खुद से कर सकते हैं. इसी तरह कुछ ऐसे लोग होते हैं जो डायरेक्टली आपको बता देते हैं इसमें क्या रिस्क हैं. सो आपने दोनों तरह के लोगों को कंसिडर करना है व्हेन यू आर एक्चुअली डूइंग रिस्क प्रोबेबिलिटी एंड इम्पैक्ट असेसमेंट. So the level of probability for each risk and its impact on each objective is evaluated during the interview or meeting. Risk probabilities and impacts are rated according to the definitions given in risk management plan, and risk with low ratings of probability and impact will be included on a watch list for future monitoring. So once one risk is low probability, impact is low, then that is a low risk. So that is included in watch list, and that can be used for future monitoring in near future. एक बड़ी और मैं आपको चीज़ बताता हूँ कि यूजुअली अगर ये हमने पहले भी डिस्कस किया और यहाँ फिर हम दोबारा इसको डिस्कस करेंगे. द इम्पोर्टेंस इज़ वेरी हाई. मेजॉरिटी ऑफ लोग जिस चीज़ का इम्पैक्ट ज़्यादा होता है जिस रिस्क का, उस पे वो कोशिश करते हैं, और उनकी एक फितरी कोशिश होती है या एक लाशौरी तौर पे वो कोशिश करते हैं कि उसकी प्रोबेबिलिटी को भी हाई रखें. हमने एक एग्जांपल दी थी कि एक साहब, अगर एक मजदूर है वो 8वीं मंजिल पे काम कर रहा है कंस्ट्रक्शन का, और उस वहाँ से नीचे गिरता है, तो उसका इम्पैक्ट क्या होगा? माइट बी अ डेथ, ओके, एंड सीरियस इंजरी एट लीस्ट. सो अब ये इवेंट जब मैंने एक सेशन में पूछा, सवाल किया कि आप बताएं कि इसका क्या प्रोबेबिलिटी होगी, तो मेजॉरिटी ने कहा इसकी हाई प्रोबेबिलिटी होगी. Probability and impact. Okay, impact is high. This is no doubt about that. But probability, no, this is a big question. Then मैंने उनसे कहा कि आप लोग पिछले 10 साल के अखबार या 5 साल के अखबार निकालिए और देखिए कि कितने ऐसे इवेंट्स हुए हैं पूरे पाकिस्तान के अंदर या आउटसाइड द पाकिस्तान जहां 8वीं स्टोरी पे कोई लेबरर जो है वो गिर के उसकी डेथ हो गई हो, सो वो शायद बहुत थोड़े हों, वो शायद अगर आपके 1 लाख प्रोजेक्ट्स हुए हैं तो शायद उसमें हो सकता है कि एक इस तरह का इंसिडेंट हुआ हो। अब 1 लाख में, नो दैट इज़ वेरी वेरी लो प्रोबेबिलिटी, ठीक है, तो हम इसको हाई प्रोबेबिलिटी, इसको लो प्रोबेबिलिटी कहेंगे। और इसी तरह लोग कोशिश करते हैं जहां उनको 1/1000 कहना होता है, इम्पैक्ट कहना होता है, वहां वो 1/100 इम्पैक्ट कह देते, और प्रोबेबिलिटी कहनी होती है 1/1000, वहां वो 1/10,000 कर देते हैं। एक जीरो के साथ वो 10 टाइम्स का फर्क पड़ जाता है। सो दैट इज़ वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट कि आप जब प्रोबेबिलिटी की असेसमेंट कर रहे हो तो आपका इम्पैक्ट बिल्कुल कंसिडर नहीं करना चाहिए, आपको सिर्फ प्रोबेबिलिटी देखनी चाहिए कि ये इवेंट कितनी दफ़ा हो चुका है या कितना ये प्रोन टू हैपनिंग है। ओके, सो दिस इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट एज वेल. Okay, so there it comes probability and impact metrics. So based on this understanding of the tolerance of the stakeholders, you develop that, and risk can be prioritized for further quantitative analysis and response and inclusion into watch list based on their risk rating. And what do you mean by risk rating? So this was risk number 1, 2, 3, 4. So the first column is for probability, second column is for impact. So probability is low, high, medium, low, high, medium, low, low. So based on that, we are having this thing. Can we identify which risk is high? So if we put this thing if that is probability axis and that is impact axis, okay. So for low we are having something, this is low, this is medium, and this is high. So let's say we are having 5, so we are having very low and high and medium and low and very low. So if we are going to draw first risk, so very low as far as probability, so probability is very low over there, and impact is very high, so that is over there. So that is risk 1. Then second one is probability is high, so probability high is over there, so we are having this low, this medium, and this high. So high is over there and very high is over there. Okay, so we are having high probability over there and medium impact, so over there. So that is risk 2. Okay, and then we are having medium probability over there and low okay, so over there we were okay, so we are having medium over there probability and low kind of impact, so over there. So this is R3. And then fourth one is low probability and very low low probability, and this is risk 4. So we are having this thing, and this thing. So from there we can identify risk 2 is very risky one, risk 3 is medium one, and R1 and R4 are low risks. Okay, so this is how we use probability and impact metrics to rank the risks. Okay, so evaluation of each risk's importance and hence priority for attention is typically conducted using a lookup table or a probability impact matrix. So this is called probability impact matrix. Such a matrix specifies combinations of probability and impact that lead to rating the risks as low, moderate and high. So over there जो risk इस वाले में आएंगे ग्रे वाले में, can you see over there, जो ग्रे वाले में आएंगे ये जो हैं रिस्क सारे लो हो जाएंगे, जो येलो वाले में आएंगे, जो येलो वाले में आएंगे ये आपके हो जाएंगे लाइक काइंड ऑफ सेमी मीडियम और मीडियम, और ये वाले जो आपके आ जाएंगे ये आ जाएंगे मीडियम टू हाई, और ये वाले जो हैं आपके, सो यू कैन हैव थ्री ओवर देयर, वी कैन हैव थ्री, ओके. So these are medium, this is low, and this is high. So one risk is R2 is in high, R3 in medium, and two risks are in low. So we are having three categories. One very good example of this matrix with numerical scales. When we are having impact on cost or time or scope, so we can have numbers as well. So if something is lying over there, now that is high risk, medium risk, and if something goes over there or something goes over there, that is very, very high risk as far as threat is concerned, and that is also very, very high risk as far as opportunity is concerned, and some risk if it falls over there, that is medium risk as far as opportunities is concerned, and something which is that is medium risk as far as threats are concerned. So what is the basis to develop these tables? I mean, so basing on your tolerances of the stakeholders, you may have these tables. So for organization to organization, these matrices may be changing, or you can have your own probability impact matrix developed for your own project. But again, that should have been proved by the relevant stakeholders. So another thing is, a very important thing is, we can develop that thing while we've started risk management. And how is that? We had developed one probability impact matrix in Project X, which was completed 2 years back in our organization, and now we are taking up the same kind of project, so we can have the probability and impact matrix from that project through archive data. हम वो निकाल लेंगे और उसको लेके के बेसलाइन के तौर पे हम यूज़ कर लेंगे. फिर हम कंपैरिजन करेंगे कि वहाँ जो स्टेक होल्डर की टॉलरेंस थी क्या वही हैं हमारे प्रोजेक्ट के ऊपर. अगर तो वही हैं तो फिर हम इसको चला लेंगे. अच्छा, दूसरा तरीकाकार ये है कि आपके पास कोई इस तरह का इवेंट नहीं हुआ, पहले कोई काम नहीं हुआ, कोई प्रोजेक्ट नहीं हुआ कि जिसके ऊपर आपने प्रोबेबिलिटी और इम्पैक्ट मैट्रिक्स पहले डेवलप किया हो. अब उस सूरत हाल के अंदर आप क्या करेंगे? उस सूरत हाल के अंदर आप बेसिकली ये करेंगे कि एक आप प्रोबेबिलिटी और इम्पैक्ट मैट्रिक्स डेवलप कर लेते हैं. जब आप क्वालिटेटिव रिस्क एनालिसिस शुरू करने लगे हैं और आपके पास आइडेंटिफिकेशन भी हो चुकी है और आपके पास स्टेक होल्डर की अपडेटेड टॉलरेंसेस लेवल भी आ चुके हैं. अब स्टेक होल्डर ही डिफाइन करते हैं कि ये लाइन हो सकता है कि 0.18 जो है, 0.2 जो है स्टेक होल्डर के नज़दीक बाउंड्री हो, 0.2 is the boundary for medium and high risk. So for that 0.2, then that area will be high risk. अगर वो 0.2 उनकी है मीडियम की, और या वो फिर कहते हैं कि जी जो लो रिस्क हैं उनकी है 0.05, तो फिर आपका ये अब लो रिस्क हो जाएगा, ये जो है आपका मीडियम में चला जाएगा. सो ये सारी चीज़ें आपने ये देखना है कि स्टेक होल्डर की आपकी टॉलरेंसेस क्या हैं और किसकी बेस पे आप फिर ये प्रोबेबिलिटी और इम्पैक्ट मैट्रिक्स बनाते हैं. So the dark gray area with the largest number represents high risk, the medium gray area with the smallest number represents low risk, and the light gray area represents in between the moderate risk over there. These are moderate risk, these are low, and these are high. Okay, so the data you have collected, you want to check the quality as well. So a qualitative risk analysis requires accurate and unbiased data if it is to be credible. So analysis of the quality of risk data is a technique to evaluate the degree to which the data about risks are useful for risk management. And based on this assessment and using this probability impact matrix, we can categorize risks. Okay, so risk to the project can be categorized by sources of risk using the RBS, the area of the project affected using the WBS, or other useful category, project phase or stuff like that, to determine areas of the project most exposed to the effects of uncertainty. Grouping risks by common root cause can lead to developing effective risk responses. And then risk urgency assessment. So risk requiring near-term responses may be considered more urgent to address. Indicators of priority can include time to effect of risk response, symptoms and warning signs, and the risk rating. In some qualitative analysis, the assessment of risk urgency can be combined with the risk ranking determined from the probability and impact metrics to give a final risk severity rating. So I was giving this example. So impact, probability, and duration, 3 dimension. In that duration, in that case, there would be 3 dimensions, okay? So that will actually highlight the urgency of the risk. Okay, so you want to assess all this, you want to develop all this, you are in need of expert judgment, subject area specialist on risk management. So expert judgment is required to assess the probability and impact of each risk to determine its location in metrics shown in earlier slides. So experts generally are those having experience with similar projects that occurred in not too distant past. In addition, those who are planning and managing the specific project are experts, particularly about the specifics of that project. And in the output part, now you have carry out, you have learned how to develop the definitions and terms, and now you have developed this probability impact matrix, and you have customized it to for your own project, and that may be 3x3 matrix as well. Low, medium, high, low, medium, high, or 5x5, as we've seen that. So that may be, based on that, now you have developed that, ठीक है, that would be a part of it. और उसके बाद फिर हमने इसकी assessment कर ली कि probability की क्या chances हैं, कितने नंबर आएगा, क्या हाई है, लो है, मीडियम है, और इम्पैक्ट का हमें पता है. सो ये सारा हमने अब इसको कैलकुलेट कर लिया. तो अब हम बड़े अच्छे तरीके से ये सारी चीज़ें अब हम रिस्क को रैंक कर सकते हैं. तो जो ज़्यादा रैंकिंग वाले नंबर आते हैं, जो हाई रिस्क हैं, उनको हम क्वान्टिफाई करते हैं, या उनकी हम क्वांटिफिकेशन करते हैं कि क्या ये जो हमने प्रोबेबिलिस्टिक एनालिसिस जो हमने जो एनालिसिस किया है हमने क्वालिटेटिव, क्या क्वांटिटेटिव एनालिसिस पे यही चीज़ शो कर रहा है. अगर यस, तो फिर हम अकॉर्डिंगली रिस्पॉन्स इसका अच्छी तरीके से प्लान कर सकेंगे. जो मीडियम रिस्क आपके आए हैं या जो लो आए हैं, तो उनको आप सीधा प्लान रिस्पॉन्स में भेज सकते हैं कि इनका ये रिस्पॉन्स हो सकता है. और जो बिल्कुल लो आए हैं, जो वेरी वेरी लो हैं, उनको आप वॉच लिस्ट में शामिल कर सकते हैं. तो ये सारी चीज़ें अभी तक आप अचीव कर चुके हैं. So the risk register updates from the performed qualitative risk analysis include relative ranking or priority list of project risks, risk grouped by the categories, causes of risk or project areas requiring particular attention, list of risks requiring responses in near term, list of risks for additional analysis and responses, watch list of low priority risks, and trends in qualitative risk analysis results. So आपने एक दफ़ा क्वालिटेटिव रिस्क एनालिसिस किया, फिर दूसरी दफ़ा किया, फिर तीसरी दफ़ा किया, फिर चौथी दफ़ा किया, फिर पांचवी दफ़ा किया. इन लाइक 3 months आपने 6 दफ़ा किया. 2 weeks के बाद आप करते हैं क्वालिटेटिव. तो उसमें फिर आपको ट्रेंड पता चल जाएगा कि कौन सी कहाँ आप क्या आप प्रोबेबिलिटी हाई असाइन कर रहे थे या इम्पैक्ट हाई असाइन कर रहे थे या लो असाइन कर रहे थे, तो ये सारी आपकी खुद भी लर्निंग हो रही होती है. So this is all about qualitative risk analysis. And then relative ranking or priority list mean the probability and impact metrics can be used to classify risk according to their individual significance, using combinations of each risk's probability of occurring and the impact on objective if it were to occur. Risk will be prioritized relative to each other by sorting them into groups of high risk, moderate risk and low risk. Risk may be listed by priority separately for schedule, cost, and performance, since organizations may value one objective over another. And risk categorization can reveal common root cause of risk or project areas requiring particular attention. Discovering concentrations of risk may prove the effectiveness of risk responses. And this is it. So we have completed our risk qualitative analysis, part of risk management, and in this session we have talked about assessment of risk, we have talked about sources of risk, and application of qualitative risk analysis, and qualitative risk analysis process. We have talked in detail about the inputs, outputs, and tools and technique of qualitative risk analysis. So we have learned new concepts, and this is the end note of today, and that is project management does not guarantee the success, but it increases the likelihood of the success of the project. So I say thank you, good luck, and Allah Hafiz.